Assalamu alaikum. In this video I will show you how to title or how to label each chapter, the entire pages, with a certain label on the top of the paper. It is called the header if you know it. So I want the header for all pages in chapter 1 to read chapter 1, and the header for all pages in chapter 2 to read chapter 2. So to do this, it is very simple. You just go to, now let's start the video. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now first, you must go to chapter 1. In here, press double click on the heading on the top. See, now it is open, the header. So now you type of your own thesis. Let's say you type chapter 1 introduction. So now let us suppose that you want all the pages to be titled in chapter 1. All the pages shall have the header titled chapter 1 introduction. You have already named it, so press outward. Now as you can see that all the documents, chapter 1 introduction, even in chapter 2, you see now that suppose that this is the end of chapter 1 and this is the start of chapter 2. You see it also takes the name chapter 1 introduction, but we don't want that. We want chapter 2 to have a different name. Its name shall be chapter 2 literature review. We don't want the label chapter 1 introduction to appear in the pages of chapter 2. So to modify it, it is very easy. You must go to the last page, or to separate chapter 1 from chapter 2. It is very easy. You must go to the last page and precisely the last line in chapter 1. Now this is chapter 1. You must go to the last page, and this is the second and last page in chapter 1. This is the start of chapter 2. This is the end of chapter 1. You go to the last page of chapter 1 and preferably the last line. If you don't have a line, you can press anywhere, but not anywhere, but in the last line. Preferably that you leave a blank line to do this trick. Now you go to the last line and you go to layout, select breaks and go to next page. Select this option. Now you don't see what's going on, so to make it obvious and to make it appear, you press this little icon on the home tab. Press this icon, and now you see we have entered what is known as section break. What this does is actually it separates the previous pages from the preceding pages. So now, to edit this one, to change it, double click in it. Now this is chapter 2, as you can see, we are dealing with chapter 2. And there is this little icon, link to previous. If you made this icon remain and you didn't change it, notice that when you change this one, let us type chapter 2. If you made this one link to previous, this means that it will change the previous section. This one, the previous section, it all shall be changed, and it will all shall be changed to chapter 2. Let us see that. Click anywhere else. Now this became chapter 2, and as you can see, even chapter 1 became titled chapter 2. Now we don't want that. So what you must do is rename this chapter, call it chapter 1 introduction. And when you go to chapter 2, eliminate this feature. Press on it so you will disable it. Now, since you have disabled it, that means whatever you write in this chapter, it shall never affect the previous chapter. Let us demonstrate. This is chapter 2, literature review. Now, as you can see, chapter 2 title or the heading have changed to chapter 2 literature review, while chapter 1 remained the same. It is the same, it hasn't changed. Chapter 1 introduction, and this is chapter 2 literature review. Now, since there is no section break inserted inside chapter 2, because this one is in chapter 1, you will notice that all the pages from this page and going downward, all the pages shall be labeled chapter 2. Even the other chapters, like chapter 3, all shall be labeled chapter 2. Now, to separate chapter 2 from chapter 3, you have to do the same thing. You go to the last page, last line of chapter 2. You go to it. You go to layout, breaks, section break, and there you have inserted a section break. Remove this little space. Now you press double. Now this is chapter 3. This is the start of chapter 3. Double click on it, and you have to disable this icon. Disable the link to previous, so that when you change something, it will not change the chapters before this one. It will not change to chapter 2 or chapter 1. So disable this feature. There you go, it is disabled. Now let us change this name to chapter 3 experimental work. Okay, click anywhere else. Now you will see this page has become chapter 3, while the previous pages it has remained chapter 2, and chapter 1 is also the same. So this is the quickest way or the easiest way to separate the titles of the chapters. So now you can title each chapter whatever you like, and each page shall have the same title of the chapter, of course. There you have it. All the pages are titled chapter 3. Suppose that you have chapter 4. Suppose that you have chapter 4 in here. Let us say that this is result. So what you must do, you must define it as chapter, as I have explained. Just press heading 1. It is chapter 4 results, and it's the same procedure. If you want to separate it from chapter 3, you must go to the last page, last line in chapter 3. This is the end of chapter 3. You go to it, layout, breaks, next page, and there you have it. The section is there. So now you must enter in here the 3 experimental chapter 3. Enter in here, double click on chapter 4. This is chapter 4 now. So you type 4. Oh, but just remove this, disable. It is very important to disable this icon. So disable it. Now it is the results. You see, because I have typed and I didn't press the link to, and I didn't disable it. It's my mistake. It changed the previous one to chapter 4 results, because I forgot to press in here. I forgot to press to disable the link, because I didn't disable it at first. So the chapter 3 was retitled, but it's no problem. You can change it. There you have it. Chapter 3. All shall be called chapter 3, and this one remained chapter 4. Now, so this is how you change the title of the page. Now if you want to change the footer, this shall be done in another video, because I don't want to make long videos. And thank you for watching. Alhamdulillah.